and welcome to the second live event for the upcoming comprehensive final exam. My name is Dave Carell. I'll be your course lead for the exam, and I'm very happy to have with me again this time Dr. Eva Ponce, our Executive Director.
Hi, good morning everyone, and thank you. Thank you for joining us today for this live event.
What we're going to do today is go back over some of the logistics of the exam. We want to make sure that everyone has all the information possible to get the best possible score. And we're also going to go over some of the questions that have come up since the last time we spoke. Of course, you can always share your questions with us, and I see some great ones coming in that we'll get to at the end. Use that chat function. You'll be sending a message directly to us, and we will get to all of them that we possibly can during today's session. So I'm going to go to our slides now. Okay, hello everybody. Nice to see all your smiling faces. You do not have to turn your camera on, but we sure do appreciate it when you do, because it's fun to see you all. Hello.
Hi.
Okay, here's our agenda for today. A review of the CFX. We want to talk frankly with you all about the Adobe Acrobat issue that's been coming up in the forums. We want to talk about practice proctoring. You saw the note recently about some scheduled outages there. I want to give you some grade report information, so you have some real data to sort of help you think about performance and timing. And we want to deal with all of your questions. So in that spirit, we'll jump right in. And I see great questions coming in. Thank you so much. Okay, so here is your team. There's around 373 of you from countries all over the world. We're really excited about that. And some of you are the only learners in your country. So we made this quick map so that you could take a look, and we're excited to have all of you. One of the neat things about the program is how international it is, and that all of us around the world have the same common goal coming up in September.
I'm happy to see people from Australia, from China, from USA for sure, Brazil. Wow, that's great. And 12 from Spain. That's awesome.
A couple notes on this slide. We're going to talk about it again, but make sure that ID verification is up to date. One of the saddest things on our end that can happen is a learner who studied hard, who passed all their courses, and then at the very end, they have some ID verification hang up that slows down their progress. So please make sure you're up to date on that. Some of you received messages from us about that. And I've seen some discussion about people looking if there was a place where they could physically take the exam. There is not. This is a virtually proctored exam only.
Yeah, that's correct. We offer a physical option the very first time, but since this is a global program, we want to be all of you exposed to exactly the same experience. So it's going to be only an online virtual proctor final exam for everyone.
So some key dates. I know you are all well aware of this now since you're all in there and getting ready for the exam. The exam will open up on the 13th and close on the 16th at 1500. A few things I want to highlight here. One, make sure your photo ID is taken care of. We've talked about that. Remember, that can take a while. And the other thing, this came up in some questions since last time. So you have 4 hours really to do both exams. But if you start and there is not 4 hours left before September 16th at 1500, you will not get all 4 hours. So please understand that it's a drawbridge. Once the exam closes, the exam is over. Yep. If you're taking it, even if you just started, the exam is over. So we encourage you, if your schedule allows it, try to start earlier rather than later, because at September 16th at 1500, the exam closes. No more answering any questions, regardless of when you started.
Yeah, and one more thing. If you plan to start 4 hours before the deadline, you are taking the risk of taking the exam at the very end. So don't expect that we can't solve any issue during that time. So always the recommendation is take it as soon as possible, because the sooner the better. For any issue, any incident, we have some time, some hours to do something. If you just plan to take 4 hours before the deadline, if something happen or arise, you are taking that risk. So please plan to take as soon as possible once the exam is open.
And one thing there too, if you hadn't thought of it, because this is a virtual exam offered anywhere in the world, we can fix your problem while the exam is open. But once the exam is closed, we can't do anything for you. We cannot give people who had a problem access later after something was fixed. So,
yeah,
you know, everyone has their own schedules to manage, but if possible, start earlier and we'll be as helpful as we can.
Yeah.
Many of you know this, but if you're just tuning in, you have 2 exams. Each one has a 2-hour time limit. I'm going to show you some time performance data to give you a sense of how that works. We strongly encourage you to take a break in between those 2 exams, because when you're taking the exam for those 2 hours, you cannot get up and go to the bathroom. You cannot chat with your loved ones or your pets. So you'll be taking one exam for 2 hours, taking a break, then taking another one with the maximum of 12 hours from start to finish.
That's correct. Yeah.
Just a technical note. I hope you all have experimented with the practice proctored exam. One other sad thing that we've seen happen to learners, and we don't want to happen to you, is the camera on your machine is not recording what you think it is. And then even if you followed all the rules, we have to reject your case because we don't have evidence of your compliance with the rules. So if you have a system that has 2 cameras, please use another one if you can. And if you can't, please be especially careful in that situation.
Yeah.
The biggest issue coming up in the forums and the help email, searching PDFs.
Yeah, so we are working with edX and PSI, our software provider for the proctoring solution. We are working with them on that. Unfortunately, we do not have a solution for today. However, as I mentioned, we are working with them on that. We, the SCX team, we really want to offer you this option of search for the during the exam in the key concept document. We are working on that as soon as we hear back, but the question is that by default, this is not allowed. So that's why it's taking some extra time for both edX and the company in order to try to allow that. At this moment, I cannot ensure this is going to work during the final exam, during the comprehensive final exam. What I can tell you is we are working on that. As soon as we hear back from the company, we will share with you all the details in one sense or the other. Hopefully, we can share you how to use this functionality during the exam, or if not, we will explain why this is not possible. So we are working on that. As soon as we have the details, we will send and share all of the details through the platform, through the instructions section, through the newsletter, and in all of the ways we have in order to communicate with you.
Another note that you probably saw in the platform and in your last message from the course, the practice proctoring experience will have 2 scheduled outages we wanted to make sure you're aware of. Thursday, September 5th, Monday, September 9th. What will happen then is if you've taken the practice exam, you know that you go through the proctoring experience. That's a great way to try that and hopefully reduce your stress about the proctored environment. During that time, we'll leave the content of the exam open to you for studying, but you will not be able to essentially emulate the proctoring experience while they're moving their servers. So please keep those scheduled outages in mind as you plan your preparation. Okay, maybe some new stuff and hopefully some encouraging and fun stuff. Well, as fun as we can be on this current topic. So these are the results from last time. So I hope this encourages you. I've seen a lot of people very concerned, and we love to see serious students, but frankly, if you're this serious that you passed all the courses and you're attending the live events, I think it's likely you're going to do well on the exam. Just study hard and you'll do great. So you can see we had a pass rate of almost 90% last time, an exam average of around 75 over the 2 exams, And if we break that up by exam 1 and exam 2, a 71% average with a healthy spread and for exam 1 and a 78% average for exam 2. And we've run, this will be the 5th CFX that you're taking. I'm showing you CFX 4 exam results here. This is how previous exams look too. I would say for the most part, scores are a little lower on exam 1 than exam 2. But interestingly, if you watch the last live event, 2 of our great learners, Liz and Maria Barba, said that exam 2 was harder for them. So your experience might vary.
Yeah, and as you can see here, 90%, almost 90% of pass rate, which is a high pass rate. So really encourage you to take your time now to prepare, to study as much as you can, and you should be ready for to take the final exam and pass it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another question that came up a lot is 2 hours enough time? So this is an image that we use every time we debrief our exams. We plot essentially scores versus time spent to see if the exam was too long. And so the way I would read a chart like this, let's look at exam 1 with the light green dots, is almost everyone's proctoring experience lasted 2 hours. And the people that lasted significantly less, there's a bit of a trend to lower, but there were people who finished at 1.5 hours, 1 hour 40, who got great scores. And then there's a lot of people against the wall with high scores too. My read on that and what we see from anecdotal information from learners is that most of you take all 2 hours to go back through and check your information, but people that's not how they take tests, they just go through, are still scoring high and finishing before 2 hours. So when we look at this data, we think, did we write an exam that will take more than 2 hours? And the data suggests that that's not the case. There's a bigger spread on exam 2. My own read on that is that exam 2 is more reading written English. And scores, it takes different people different amounts of time depending on their background. So let's talk about some of the material that you can prepare with. So you have all of the wrap-up videos. I think those are a great way to look at what does the staff recognize as the key topics in each of your courses. Some of you have written in with very specific questions. Will this be on the exam? Will this be on the exam? We can't really answer those, but we can point you here and say, these are the things that we think are really important. So you'd be hurting your score to not understand those.
And we recommend to watch those videos to refresh yourself, the key concept document. You already have the document by itself. So one way is to study the key concept document. Another way is for those concepts that you think that you need to study a bit more, sorry, is just to go through the actual videos or previous practice problems or daily assignment in order to refresh those concepts in your mind.
And I think Liz said it, and one of our beta testers, so if you didn't know, all of our exams are tested to make sure that the answers are correct and clear to learners. And I was talking with one of our beta testers last week, and he was telling me, Ramon, a good friend of our program, he was telling me his strategy was when he was reviewing, he'd look at the review information, and if he felt that those terms were familiar, he wouldn't necessarily watch the old videos. But if it was a term or an equation that he couldn't remember, he would go back.
Go back with that. Yeah, there are different strategies. Follow your own strategy, but you have the material there in the archive courses. And these videos is just to highlight the key points we think you should definitely be comfortable with them.
So next you have a practice proctored test. And I know many of you are already in there solving problems. That's great. A couple things to point out. One, that is where you can also practice with the proctoring software. We do it too to make sure things are working. Great way to eliminate that potential stressor from your life. But please note that it closes before the exam opens. So that means if you were intending to take the exam on the last possible day, you will not have the practice proctored exam on the 14th or the 15th. We do that because we've had the sad case where a nervous learner takes the practice exam on the day of the exam and thinks that they took the real exam and then has a score of 0. So we don't want that to happen to you.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll close one day before we open the actual exam, and we really encourage you to take that for two things. One, because you have actual exam problems that you can use as a practice, practice a bit before the exam. Second thing, because these reproduce the actual environment of the real CFX. So you need to download the software, you need to follow all of the procedure and all of the steps. And we really recommend you to do this before the actual exam. So if any issue arises, you can send a note to us, and we will be aware for that. Especially we recommend this for people that are planning to take the exam from China. And is especially important in those cases that you test in advance, that the practice proctor test is working with your computer, with your network, with your connectivity, because we experiment some issues with previous learners when they were taking the exam in China. So I really encourage everyone to take the practice proctor test, and especially those that we know that in certain countries there are past cases with some issues.
And please know, we've got a few questions. You need to attempt the entire practice proctor test before getting those solution videos.
Yeah. And this is because we really want you to learn and to be exposed to the real experience, kind of a simulation of the real experience. So after that, you can definitely see the solutions and go through the solutions, but be exposed to that. Try to solve by yourself. I really encourage you to solve by yourself before looking at the solutions.
So the exam will be open 13 to 16 September, 1500 UTC. That's 72 hours, and there will be 24-hour support available. We'll get to this in the questions, but I think you can really count on hearing from us, I believe, within minutes. That will be our goal, certainly in less than 30 minutes. Oftentimes, if it takes that long, it means we've read your message and have conferred all the way up the chain as we need to. So we're going to have 24-hour support available to you. I already see questions about grades coming in here. There's just a pass bar, and that pass bar is 60% average across both exams. So if you pass, you've achieved an average score of higher than 60%, 60% or higher on both exams. And then we should have your certificates and your final percentage grade, not a letter grade, just a percentage grade in about a month.
Yes, during the exam, during the time that the exam is open, you will not have access to your student progress bar. We will release this once we have the final grades. After the exam, we always review and analyze all of the grades, and we do a deep analysis about that. So we don't want to share any grades after we have completed the debrief and the whole analysis of the CFX. So progress bar will be not available till the final grades are all set from our side.
So once you get done with the CFX, let's think about, imagining the follow through of your swing for a successful endeavor. Please stay in touch. Part of this is about joining that community of MicroMasters holders. Ava told you a little more last time about all the new resources that will be coming to you.
Yeah.
Please avail yourself of those resources and make sure you stay in touch with us.
Yeah, we are very happy that this fall you will be, those that are MicroMaster holders will be part of the MIT Alumni Association as an affiliate member, which is a great thing. Also, as I mentioned, Arthur Grau and Sam Barney, our communications team and community managers, they will try to keep you engaged with us, sharing any job position, any news related to the SEM, any event like the bootcamp we are organizing here, or a application deadline for the MIT blended degree here at MIT or at other universities that are recognizing the MicroMaster as a pathway. So we always love to hear from you. So be active, be in touch with this great community of learners.
All right, let's go to questions.
Yes.
And we made a summary of what we saw in the discussion forum and the emails. Maybe we'll start there, and I'll start looking through your comments to find some questions to answer right away. So maybe, do you want to address the first one about browsers?
Definitely, yes. So browsers, our learners were asking which is the best browser I can use. Our experience, based on our experience, it seems that Google Chrome works very well. However, we have a successful experience with Safari, Firefox, and other browsers. When a learner has a problem with some of these browsers, we always encourage them to at least try to use Google Chrome and see if this fix any issue. Sometimes what you just need to do is to have the latest version of the browser. So be sure that before taking the exam, all of the updates took place and you have a recent version of the browser. This also helps in the past to fix some issues that we had.
Maybe the next one, well, we have one learner and we'd like to say congratulations. We know that you are expecting a child at around the time of the exam, so yeah. This whole community is thinking about you and wishing you the best. How should that learner or any learner who has a potential emergency situation come up deal with that? So
if you have any potential emergency, please take care of yourself, take care of your baby, and you know, you will take the next CFX. So health first thing. If you are expecting a baby, this is the first thing. We hope that you all can take the exam and nothing arising in that time. But if something happened, you will have the opportunity to take the next CFX. This is going to happen in March 2020 from 13 to 16 March 2020. This is the next opportunity to take the CFX. For those that, for any reason, they finally cannot take or are not able to take the exam, in our records, you will be as not attempted. So you are not going to earn a 0. You will be not attempted. So it's just that we know that for any reason you couldn't take it, and then the next time we hope that you will be able to take it. Yeah?
What about exam 1, exam 2? If a learner has trouble in exam 1, should they just keep going to exam 2, or what should they do?
So if you have any issue during any exam, exam 1 or exam 2, our recommendation is report the incident, the issue, anything immediately. As soon as you can, please report it. The sooner, the better. We always know when you actually started the exam, when you actually start the exam. So please report as soon as possible, because the sooner the better to fix any technical issue, any incidents you might have. So my recommendation is, if you are taking exam 1, report immediately. Wait for a while. And as Dave mentioned, the whole team is behind. We are trying to take care of you as soon as possible. Sometimes it's going to take some minutes for sure. So wait for, I would say, in the window of 1 hour, you should have received some answer from our side. Telling you whatever solution we come up with. So I would say wait to receive our answer about that. Based on that, continue. And if in a window of 1 hour you didn't receive anything from us, maybe you can continue. But I'm pretty sure that you will hear from us. So the message here is report any incident as soon as possible.
We had some learners from China communicate about some of the connection issues there. So we've talked about internally that VPN has been a solution for some learners, but as we talked about it, we don't know that we can say particularly which path to VPN is the right one in your situation.
Yeah, we know that some learners, we know that there are official VPNs that some learners was using in the past. So, and we know that this fix some of the technical issues that they have. My recommendation, especially for Chinese learners, please take the practice Proctor test before. take it. If you are watching this video, after watching this video, as soon as you can, take the practice proctor test, because if there is any technical issue during the practice proctor test, you will know about that. Report to us and we will try to find a solution for you guys. So try to the practice proctor test and hopefully let's see if this works. We know that in the past some learners solved it using a VPN in China. Yeah.
But we should say officially, I know there's been some question, could you go to a center in China and take it? That will not be an option.
We do not offer any
virtually.
physical option to take the exam, unfortunately. No, in any country, no, no. It need to be a virtual exam, yeah.
One more question from the forum and the emails, learners who ask, can I still enroll?
Unfortunately, no. Enrollment is closed. Verification is closed last week. As you know, we sent a bunch of emails reminding everyone about the deadline, and the deadline is already passed. And you know, it's very unfortunate, but it's what it is. Yeah, so I think we have now almost 380 people verified and ready to take the exam. So please prepare for your exam. And the next one, as I mentioned, will be in March 2020.
So let's go to some of the questions that you've asked since we've started. Thank you so much. These are all really good. We're going to get to all of them that we can, and certainly all of the ones that are repeat questions. So let's just start going through them. What happens if a learner mistakenly saves Excel because they're used to doing that?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so don't save your spreadsheet. It's kind of I know it's no, don't save that. If you save by mistake, you need to delete it. You need to show us that you are deleting it in every part of your computer. My recommendation is use a spreadsheet as a tool to help you during the exam. Don't save the spreadsheet, and you need to show this to the proctors because they are looking for this action from your side, and we expect everyone not to save the spreadsheet, close that, and then close the exam, end the exam at the end. So please don't save that. If you save that by mistake, you need to delete it. You need to show every single part in your computer that has been deleted. And this is going to take a lot of extra time from your side and from our side. I cannot ensure an answer here. This is a rule violation. So the rule and the instruction is very clear. Don't save the spreadsheet. If you save, what you have now is you have violated the rules. So most likely you are not going to pass the exam. So please don't save that.
And just to follow up on an Excel question, some of you have asked about, do you need to use the add-on analysis Toolpak that you use in some of their courses? You will not. You will use Excel as a calculator. That doesn't mean that we won't potentially ask you questions about mixed integer linear programs, but it does mean that you will not need the advanced Toolpak functions. You also won't need, you've asked questions about MySQL and Orange. You will not need those softwares to answer exam questions, but I just want to give that with the caveat. It doesn't mean that we won't ask you about concepts related to the use of those tools.
Yeah, to solve the problems, and we have designed the problems taking into account that you have only access to Excel. This is how we have designed the problem. However, as Dave mentioned, the concepts, we can ask for concept related to SQL or any other concept in the course. Yeah.
I'm going to address quickly this question here. I'm sorry, I probably won't get your username right, so I won't do you the disservice of saying it incorrectly. The question about Bluetooth mouse. We have no rule against the Bluetooth mouse, and it looks like in your case it worked in the SC4X Proctor graded assignment. So there's no rule on our end against it. You may choose to check in, I guess I may advise you to check in with the proctoring software vendor help support to make sure there's no issue there.
Yeah.
But on our end, we do not have a specific instruction against the Bluetooth mouse.
Yes.
Someone asked the question, what happens if my internet goes out?
A very unfortunate situation. As we mentioned, you need to have your computer, your laptop, and internet connectivity to take this exam. So again, my recommendation is please plan in advance. This is CFX is something that you cannot improvise. You need to plan in advance. Plan to have a room, a quiet room, just yourself in front of the camera, taking the exam with a robust internet connectivity. I know that in certain countries, you need to find a special spot for that. Plan in advance. I don't know if it is going to the university or going to a special place. You know these circumstances better than ourselves, but my recommendation is you always for all of our midterm exam, final exams, graded assignment, you need to have internet connectivity. So this is mandatory here. So please plan in advance, trying to find a space, a way to ensure that this is going to happen. If any of these things happen and finally the deadline and we close the exam and you were not able to take it, is a very unfortunate situation and happened in the past and is very unfortunate. So try to plan in advance. If something happened, let us know as soon as possible and let's see. But internet connectivity is mandatory. You need that to take this exam.
Someone asks, should they take the art off their walls in the room where they'll be taking the exam?
The what? Sorry?
Take the art off of their walls in the room?
I don't think so.
No. Okay, so thank you for offering.
I don't think so. You can keep it.
And
I think like this room, we can take in this room, no problem. The question is you need to scan it and not show that you do not have any material that is going to help you during the exam. But if you have an artwork in the room, I don't think the artwork is going to.
Christopher asked about Control-C, Control-V. So there's two sides to that. We're working with the Proctored software on all of those functions right now, and we will give you the absolute latest and best information we have as soon as we have it. The Control-F question.
Yeah.
But there's, and correct me please if I'm wrong, but there's not something that would be allowed inside the Proctored software like that we would then give you a violation for.
Yes, definitely.
I hope that clears that
and we
up.
are looking for the control find. We want you to be able to find whatever you are looking in the key concept document. Control-C and Control-V is a very different thing. So typically this is not allowed, and we are not trying to allow Control-C and Control-V. Indeed, what we are doing for exam 2, that sometimes you have some reading, we always provide the reading in a way that you don't need to Control-C and Control-V or use this functionality. So don't expect to have Control-C, Control-V. We are working in offering you the option through the key concept document to use the control find.
I hope that helped. That was a good question. Thank you.
Yes.
Someone asks, if I fail it, can I take it again?
Yes. If you fail, you can take it again. Yes. We have people that failed previous CFX and they took again. Yes.
And a few people have asked about how do we count scores if I take it twice or 3 times? How do we consider the different scores? Are they averaged? Is it?
Yeah, we have a record of all of your activities. So we know how many times you take it. We know your score in each of the CFX. In terms of if you are asking about the transcripts, at the very end, in your transcripts, you will have the latest and highest score in your transcript. However, we as a team, we know all of your activity within our program.
And I think that to me, when thinking about our learner who's about to have a child, so say in your case, you can't take the exam or you have some other emergency. It's not like you'll get a 0 this time, and then maybe you get a perfect score next time. So we'll average it to 50. It's not that case at all. We'll look at the higher score.
No. We are not doing averages between the different runs. No. If you took more than one time, we know that. We know your scores in each time, but yes, typically in your transcript, you will see your highest score.
Let's see, these are great questions. Just seeing anything else? This is a good one about when they take the practice proctoring tests, why do they not learn about what they may have failed in the proctoring? Is anyone reviewing their proctoring videos?
No, no one is reviewing the proctoring videos. The proctoring videos, the videos no, these videos are not going to be reviewed by anyone. the good thing to do that, and that's why I encourage that, is because if there is any technical issue or incompatibility between your computer and the Practice Proctor software, this will happen during this test. As soon as you get into this trouble and you communicate to us, the better, in order to find a solution. But no one, so if you try to do something during the Practice Proctor test, reviewing additional material that is not allowed, no one is going to watch that videos, because it's a Practice Proctor test. It's not an actual exam. What we are reviewing is the actual exam videos. Yeah.
And that was a good question from Hamilton. Thank you. And we've seen that another learner wrote in with a similar question earlier this morning. And their question was, can I study in the Practice Proctored environment with all of my materials in front of me? Will I be flagged for violation? So the other side of that coin is no, you can study however you want, but you will not get feedback from a proctor on if you would have broken the rules in that case.
Yeah, because for us, this is a tool for you to practice. This is not a tool for us to review how you are doing the exam. No, it's a tool for you to practice and reproduce the environment. However, you know the rules, and the rules are very clear. So if any violation happened during the actual exam, we will flag it, and you will not pass the actual exam because of the violation. During the practice test, can you study during the practice test? Yes, you can, because it's not an actual proctor exam. It's good for identifying any technical issue, as I mentioned, but it's just for you. And you can take the practice test as many times as you want. You can take 10 times or 50 times or just one time. It's up to you, and it's a tool for you to practice and try to reproduce the actual environment of the CFX.
TC asks, do we have rules about what they do with the piece of scratch paper before they close out their proctoring experience?
So with that piece of paper, you need to scan both sides in a very clear way in front of your camera. So when you are doing all of the scan of the room and all of the things, you sit in front of the camera. The first thing you need to do is scan the both sides of that, and then you need to have in the table, in a visible place, and go through the exam. So this is what you need to do. No, after that, she means just to, some learners just to destroy that or get rid out of that. Yeah.
And it's up to you. I would say, you know, we talked about that piece of paper a lot in the last exam. We talked to learners. Most people don't use it.
Yes.
If that helps you think about the exam. When I take a test, sometimes I like to write down my plan. So you might say, you know, your ordering of questions, how you choose to approach them, but we find that most people don't use them much. But if it's helpful to you, it is there.
And I would say, if you are not planning to use at all, don't bring it to the exam, because these are an extra step, extra scan. So if you are not planning to use that, and if you are totally fine with your Excel open during the exam, don't bring the blank sheet of paper.
And that goes to a couple questions on here. There's very specific cases. There was one in the forum who asked about having their beloved pets with them. You know, the cases can get too specific to deal with every possible thing that you might want in the room. So I think our advice is a little in the room.
Yes. It's just yourself. Sorry about that, but this only 2 hours. Please, just yourself. It's a proctor exam. Imagine that you are here, and if you come to MIT, no one can bring their pet. It's not allowed. So it's the same. It's an exam. It's a virtual proctor exam, but it's not that something that we are allowing here. So sorry about that.
And that goes to people who have had questions about other electronics. You know, in general, if we don't answer your question specifically, we'll try to, but just kind of remember that the proctors are watching the video to make sure that you're not using outside resources.
Yes.
So another computer screen on your desk for sure will get an honor code flag.
Totally. Totally. We reject people because of that.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah,
all the time. So a second screen, definitely. A device, a cell phone on your table is a reason to not to pass the exam. We have rejected people because of those reasons. Yeah.
And then there's the questions, spread out. They say it's a television, but it's a television with a certain type of connection. Just keep in mind that the proctors won't know how your television is hooked up. So
yes,
it's best to not have those kind of situations that are really just going to potentially take away all of your hard work.
I fully agree with you, Dave. And please where you are going to be seated during the exam. It's not something that suddenly appeared there, the screen or this thing. You know that? So please plan in advance. They don't have any extra additional screen. Don't have any additional notes or books or anything, because the proctors are going to flag that. And once you have that, you are going to run into the problem. So no, don't have that.
Srivi asks, can I take the CFX exam again, even if I pass it this time, if I just want to improve my score?
Yes, we have retakers. We call them retakers. These are people that have already passed the CFX, and they are allowed to take it again if they want to improve their scores. So yes, the answer is yes.
A number of you are still asking about the KCD and the search functionality, and I think I invite you to repeat, but we're working on getting that.
Yes, we are working on that. Control find, the find functionality, try to allow that, but as I mentioned, it's not allowed by default. We are working with FedEx and the company. They are still working on that. As soon as we hear back from them, we will share the details with you through the newsletter, through the course update, through the instructions of the exam. So we will try to communicate this in a very clear way, and we are working on that. So we know it's a concern for you, also for us, and we are on that. Yeah, sorry, because these kind of things are not easy to implement when they are not by default, and this is not by default. That's why it's taking some time. It's not just us, we need to work with the other stakeholders. So working on that. Believe me that all of the stakeholders are aware about that, aware about your concerns, our concerns, and they are working on that. And we will share the details as soon as we have a final resolution here.
A learner asks if they can use reference material from the previous courses during the exam.
No.
No.
No. Let's clarify this. No, you are not allowed to use anything, just yourself and your computer. Make sure that you have internet connectivity, and we will provide the key concept document through the exam. That's all. Please, that's all. Read the instructions and follow the instructions, because after that, you know what happened is that you need to explain, hey, yeah, but I have them by mistake. So sorry, but no. The answer is no. The instructions are very clear. This is a massive program. This is an online program, and we need to use the technology we have, which is great, but please follow the instructions. I'm sorry, because we need to be very rigid on that, but it's the way to be. So you need to follow the instructions. Try not to have another screen, another material, another book reference. No, it's not allowed. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so Daniel asks about removing things from the walls. We said that's not necessary. And a home office with a drawer and a desk, I think that will be fine. You just don't want them open where a proctor might think that you have notes evident to you.
Yes, something that cannot be reachable. You know, you cannot, need to be very obvious that you cannot reach any material during the exam.
JF Pettit asks about a specific translator that you like to use. You have to use the translators that we specify in the instructions.
Yeah, we need to be very clear with instructions we give to our proctors. So there are certain translators that we are allowing, and this is based on the feedback from many learners that have already taken the CFX. So we always incorporate the feedback. Based on that feedback, we are allowing certain websites. Only this is the things that are allowed. The instructions about the things that are allowed during the exam are super clear. There are only a few things that are allowed. Please focus on that things and don't bring any other thing that is not allowed, because if not, you are going to be flagged. So flag and your exam is going to be rejected.
and visiting other websites is the easiest thing for the proctors to catch. So,
yeah.
And it's an immediate red
it's
flag.
Immediate flag, it's immediate rejection, it's immediate 0 points in your CFX because of that. So don't take that risk.
Kelly asks, can I take the test again if I fail this time? You can, but I don't think you will. I think you'll do very well.
You're going to do great. Yeah, let's study as much as you can, be prepared and go for it. And yes, if you fail, you can take it again.
As far as I can tell, I think we have covered most of the questions here. Any last piece of advice, the last couple minutes for questions? Please send them in. Any last minutes of advice you have for the learners?
I think please read the instructions. It's very important. Follow the instructions and try to, just as I mentioned, study now as much as you can. Take the practice proctor test, review the material, and then be ready for a two hours exam. I think it's going to be fine, but please follow the instructions. This is super important, and take the practice proctor test. I really encourage you to take the practice proctor test. Any concern, let us know, and we will be in touch with you about the control F, the find functionality.
We'll make sure functionality within the secure browser of the Proctored window is very clear to you. And I've seen your messages there about making sure there's a good question here about making sure that you can get the access code into the system.
Yes.
We're going to make sure that that's okay. So there will be no hiccup like that, but thank you for bringing those concerns. The only other advice I have is that I think if you've come this far, you're already ready. So I understand being nervous, but if you've come this far, I don't think you need to be. The last thing is to make sure that you have a room and a space and an environment to take the test that's calm and peaceful. And I know that's not easy for everyone to do, but hopefully you can find it. And then I think you'll have a great time. Boone, your room sounds perfect. So I think it will go well.
And be sure that your camera is properly set. Who is this learner? This is a great example. Yes. We have now a learner here. This is not a Proctor exam for sure, but definitely, if we receive a video like this one, we are going to reject that. So please be sure that your camera is properly set. So you are on camera and you can, you are ready for the proctors. So be sure about all of these things. As we mentioned, best of luck. We are sure that if you are here and you are studying for this CFX, you have already passed 5 courses. So you have been doing the most part of this journey. It's just the last stretch. It's one comprehensive final exam. We know it's comprehensive, but it's doable. So go for it. Best of luck. Any issue, please report as soon as possible. We will be here trying to help you and trying our best for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Good luck.